Hello, everyone. Welcome to Career Globalization with Winnie.
In the previous episode, Sanjeev compared the financial job market in India and Canada. And in this episode, we'll continue the discussion about the three possible ways to make the move from India to Canada possible.
So the first, I think that I would talk about, which is the way most of the people are following right now, is the express entry.
Mhm.
Now, this is a program that was launched by Canadian government to provide permanent residence directly to the qualified candidates. Now, permanent residence would is very similar to what they call as green card in US.
Uh-huh.
Now, what happens is that based on certain factors like age, educational qualification, linguistic competency, and work experience, and so on.
Mhm.
Based on all these factors, you get a particular of score, and if you reach a certain score, then Canadian, I think, government or immigration department actually releases a list of applicants above a certain score,
Mhm.
which are invited to apply for the permanent residence.
Mhm.
Now, all these details that I'm talking about is present on their website with a very lucid and detailed explanation.
Yeah.
So people could go there and find out what is their score, if they are eligible or not, if they'll meet that criteria or not in that sense.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you are coming through this route, what happens is that for sure you'll have to leave out a well settled job and life actually and start afresh in Canada, like right from the scratch.
I see.
So it is a bit of challenge in that sense that you have to take a bit of risk. But
Mhm.
I would say that for people, especially in the banking and the IT sector, I think that challenge is a bit lesser comparatively because the amount of jobs that Canada has in the banking and IT is
Mhm.
relatively more compared to the other sectors.
I see.
Yeah. So what I would say is that because like basically if you're in the same background, then it will be a bit easier for you to get a job. Some of my friends have actually followed this approach, and then I gave them a certain suggestions, like even because you are having, so you are taking a bit of risk, so
Mhm.
how exactly to ease you into this process so that it is easier for you to find a job.
Right.
So I would suggest a couple of things actually, which people should have a head start on even before they actually land to Canada.
Mhm.
Now, the first thing over there is head start in networking. So, because I mentioned that Canada is a very is a closed job market, especially in the finance side.
Mhm.
So, I would say that start to network on LinkedIn with people working in the same sector and get their feedback.
Yeah.
Now, this is, I would suggest, is a much more organic approach rather than just asking out for a job.
Mhm.
Also, what I think is clearing an interview over here is not that difficult because
Mhm.
you have worked on a very similar kind of situation back in India. So clearing out the interview is not that difficult, but getting an interview is,
I
because
totally
here
agree. Yeah,
till
yeah,
the time till the time you actually do not have a kind of referral, or if you really know somebody, it is very difficult to get that job interview. So
yeah.
even if you see the job interviews actually posted on the different portals, you will never get a call. So I would suggest that when like already start networking back from India and then come over here, try to meet people over a coffee and all, and then ask for referrals.
Mhm.
I've not seen anybody actually refusing to provide a referral. And one of the reasons being that Canada is such a, especially Toronto, where I am right now living, is such a multicultural place that most of the people have already gone through the same process, so they understand the pain that people go through. So people are very helpful. Like that is one thing that I found in Canada. Like the people actually go beyond their ways to try to help you. Like if you try to meet some people, even if they don't have that particular opportunity in their team right now, at least when they get to know, they'll give you a call themselves that like this is an opportunity that I see, if you want to apply you can.
Mhm.
So that was one thing that I found, like you should start networking. And then the second thing that I find which is really important is have certain certifications.
Mhm.
And I'll explain the reason behind it. Is that so if you're in finance sector, I would say that have something like FRM or a CFA even before you land over here.
Yeah.
And say if you want to get into project management, do the PMP or a Scrum Master kind of things.
Right.
Or if you are trying to get into more of a technical job, I would say do the specific, technical competency certification that you are good in, like Python or Java or whatever.
Yeah.
And the reason being that the first round of filtration that they have is based on the keywords.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you do not have a specific keyword into your resume, I don't think they'll like Candice. You would be noticing that most of the job interviews they write that FRM and CFA candidates would be given preference.
Yeah.
So I say that even if it is the first level that you have created done, I would say that at least do it before you come over here, so that you're not wasting that 5 months or 6 months in doing that thing.
Yeah.
Because if you already are planning to come to Canada, I think you would know already in advance that because you'll apply for that whole express entry thing and all. It takes 6-7 months. By that time, you should do a particular certification.
Makes sense.
So that is all about the express entry that I wanted to talk about. I think here I should also touch a bit about the compensation part. And why I want to touch about compensation part is that you are leaving out your job in India, and then say you are coming to a Canada. Now, what really happens is, first of all, the level of pay is totally different, because it's a different job market. The currency is different, rates are different, and all that. Now, how do you really know what is the really compensation that you should be asking to your recruiter?
Right.
So what I have suggested and what I have done with all my friends individually, like all my close friends who have come here, so I have first of all, I have asked them to actually take a look on the websites like Glassdoor and all.
Yeah.
Like there you find a kind of range, and the range would be very varied. It's not that you'll get a small range, you'll get huge range, like 80 to 120, like things like that. I'm just giving an example. So it's like, now what to do is that you should not restrict yourself only to that. Try to reach out to people who are working, if not in the same company, at least try to reach out to people working in similar companies.
Yeah.
And don't ask for their offers, of course, but then you can at least ask for kind of range that what is the general range that the companies are willing to pay for. And only when you exhaust all your options, at least you should try to, then you should provide a number to your recruiter.
Right.
Having said that, I would say that Canadian market, you shouldn't be really worried about the first, when you are at least expecting the first offer. Don't get much worried about the compensation part, because I think it will course correct itself in a couple of years or so. So I think the important thing I would say is try to get into the job market, the industry that you want to, and then I think compensation is okay. You can do research, because that is something that you should do, everybody should do, but it shouldn't be given the highest preference. You shouldn't lose sleep over the compensation factor.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I think express entry, I may have spoken a bit much, so I'll quickly go to the second part, which is the student visa portion. Now, one of the things that I have realized, especially because I was also a student at some point of time, and I was trying to see if I should study outside and I realized that, like me, most of my friends also, and even the ones who actually went out to study, they never had Canada as a kind of even as an option. Like it was more like go to UK, go to US. But what I have realized, that there are so many good colleges in Canada, and which are relatively much cheaper compared to these other options that we were aware of, like at least we thought about US or UK. The reason I'll be giving higher preference to Canada now that I am aware about this or the Canadian colleges and all, the reason I would give higher preference is that in terms of opportunities, you are much more secure. What I mean is that you'll never get surprises like what is say happening in US because of political situation, or even in other UK or other countries.
Yeah.
So after your education, I think Candice, you have gone through the same way. You get that whole work permit thing, and then you ease into that express entry process.
That's right. Yeah. It's a
because you get extra points.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get, I guess, extra points for studying over here, and then because on the work permit you'll have some work experience, that also gets some extra points for you. So I think that is really a great option to come through, especially if you are not having enough points through the express entry directly. And if you have already have an idea that you want to go outside and settle somewhere, and if Canada is one of your options,
Yeah.
I would suggest to come over here and do your masters or bachelors, like whatever time you're comfortable leaving your home country. I think you should come over here, and that is an easy process.
Right.
Why I think, but my preference, Candice, is I think the second option is better than the first option that I explained.
Uh-huh.
And the reason being, and that is one of the very important things which nobody talks about, is when you actually do your education over here, you already build great friends and an excellent support system, which
Yeah.
is so much important. And especially I am not I have faced this whole challenge, because I came through the another situation that I'll talk about. Now it is very, like, for me, somebody who is not that open in communication with people, I found it very difficult to make friends. So to build that whole support system, it took some time, and especially when you're living away from your parents and all,
Right.
it is very important to have a support system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, when you're doing your education over here, you don't have to specifically research about the job market, because kind of when you are in school, you kind of know about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that way you have all that cushion kind of thing, which you are actually missing out when you are directly coming on express entry, because you're leaving your job also there. Here
Right.
that is not the case. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about that you're leaving out something, because in the first option you're actually leaving a well settled job over there.
Right. 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 Yeah.
So these were, I think that covers the student part. Now I'll come about the third option, which is the way I came through. Now I came through the easiest way, actually, which was the closed work permit. So
Yeah.
how it works out is, basically you have to work in a company which has one of the Canadian companies as its client.
Uh-huh.
Like, I would name a few, like Cognizant is the one that I was working for.
Yeah.
TCS has a very high presence over here. Infosys has a small presence. Even CGI, which is a Canadian consulting company, that has a pretty decent presence in India. So if you end up working in these companies and you're working for a Canadian client, what happens is that, Candice, if you perform really good in some time, they call you onshore. So there is a whole concept of offshore. You work for some time in offshore and then you perform really well. Or if you have worked there for a couple of years, they'll need somebody, to drive the changes directly in Canada. So
I
they'll call you over here. And then once you come over here, there is, first of all, there is no challenge. One, because you have already got a job with, you don't have to worry about compensation, because they have already defined a set of compensation. They'll not be trying to, you'll not be missing out on some money or something. Also, they'll provide you a place to live for first month, and also you don't have to worry about your location part also, where do you want to live. So this saves you a lot of pain and all. But then the only part is that there are only a couple of companies which have a major presence in Canadian market, and that mostly happens with IT consulting companies. So that was my way of coming through, which was pretty easy. Like, I literally had, like, I got to know about all the challenges when my friends started coming in, because then I had to help them get through, ease through the market.
Yeah.
And that is where I think for friends, I worked more than them, because, I had to go through, find out what is happening, how to get them an interview and all that. So
Got it.
yeah, I think these are the three options that I think.
That's very helpful. Yeah. Like you basically consolidate your experience and your friend's experience and share with us. That's so great.
Yeah, I think that's all that I did in last 3 years. Like, what has happened is, when I was talking about the support system, so I called quite a few of my friends who were doing, who were my batchmates in my MBA. Now, when they are here, that makes my life also easier. So I was a bit selfish in that part, that I lured them into coming into Canada. I was like, okay, this is not a great place, but yeah, actually that helped.
I see, I see. Cool. So moving on to my next question, right? Like under current, like these days, I do notice that some of my friends, they're moving back from North America to Asia, like either it's China or like some Indian friends, they may go back to India because of various reasons, right? It could be like visa reason, it could be current like COVID situation for different reasons. Have you noticed similar things? Let's say if people are thinking about going back to their home country, Asia, or being China or being India, do you have any recommendations or your suggestions on how people should make a choice? What's your view on like living long term wise, home
Yeah, sure.
country, North America?
Yeah. Thanks, Candice, for this question. Like, especially wanted to talk about this because no, most of my friends from graduation actually are in US right now. Like
Okay.
quite a few. Like I have almost 20 to 30 friends from my batch
Mhm.
who have moved to US to do their higher education, and then there are also people, my colleagues who actually came to US on H1B visa, and then they are working there. So what really is happening in the current world
Mhm.
is that what used to happen in US in general is that once you lived there for a few years, you generally apply for a green card, and then
Yeah.
it's not that if your green card is already in process, you can actually continue to work over there,
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
Now, because of this current political scenario that was happening like US, that ease that was there, that a bit of leeway that they had, even when they did not have the green card and they could still wait there and work there, that was kind of lost actually. So
Mhm.
most of the people were in a kind of panic mode because they really did not know what their future like held in basically US.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things that happened. Like few of my friends actually moved back to India,
Okay.
but most of my friends, what happened, they came to Canada because Canada is very close to United States, and in the job market, I would say it's not as good as US, but
Mhm.
at least it is better compared to India.
Mhm.
So what all of them did, that they got through this express entry because because they have worked in India, sorry, in US, and they had a very similar work experience. They were able to ease out in the US market.
I see.
So I would suggest that, in fact, so basically it depends on what kind of person you are. Like if you are somebody who is very competitive or something, then you could still try out the US option. And but if you are somebody who also prefers a lot of work-life balance in general and stability, gives preference more to stability in life, then I would say Canada is a really great place
Yeah.
because politically also it is very stable.
Mhm. That's true.
So, and it's kind of something that your long term future is kind of secure,
Mhm.
that you will not be waiting for your permanent residence. Like in fact, Canadian government even starts with the permanent residence,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
don't really have to live here for some time to get the PR. So
True.
that way, I think for all the people who are facing such scenarios in US, I would suggest to take a look at Canada, which I think people are already doing,
Yeah.
looking at. But even choosing between Canada and US, like if I had to make a choose and I was not in Canada right now, I would choose Canada because Canada is relatively more stable. Because what really happens is that if I am in US and I'm suddenly, after 6 7 years of working over there, and suddenly I'm not sure what do I need to do, I'll
Mhm.
have to start from the scratch again in India.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of effort, like because which I already have been seeing coming to Canada. Like when I right now I'm here, for example, I did my masters in one of the top 10 say colleges in India.
Mhm.
Now in Canada nobody knows about that, so basically I am starting from the scratch and all that.
Right.
So you wouldn't want to go through that situation multiple times. So I
Oh,
would say that if you want to move out, like my preference would be to choose a stable country, and I think Canada provides you that.
got it. Got it.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
just my
Mhm.
thoughts on that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I want to touch upon today. So thank you very much, Sanjeev, for sharing all your experience, your friends' experience here today. I really learned a lot about like how you compare the markets and how you prepare for your transition. So yeah, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Candice, for inviting me. And I hope this was helpful in case anybody comes
Very
across
helpful.
this. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
If you find the content helpful, please subscribe to my channel.